I no longer have any of my craft or event stuff. Literally, I am starting from scratch. Hey guys, it's Chelsea. Previously, where all my other videos were made, we were living in New Zealand and we moved to Italy and now we live in America. So I no longer have any of my craft or event stuff with me. I'm gonna start a new series, starting from scratch and doing it all on a budget. My aim is to show you that you can have nice events without the heavy price tag, or you can have all the cool decor without paying so much money for it. So with Halloween coming up, we are going to make things. Everything that I have got today is from the Dollar Tree, so super simple, nice and easy. Dollar Tree is like a $2 shop. All you're gonna need is tin foil, masking tape. This is some paint, packing paper, and glue. I didn't even have glue, so I had to go and buy glue. Literally, I am starting from scratch. So if there's anything in particular, let me know so that I can work out how to make it and show you. I like to just use things that I can find around the house, yeah? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a thing. We're just gonna make a hand. We're gonna use the tin foil to shape the hand. We're then going to use the masking tape to put it all together, and then we're going to do a paper-mâché over top of the hand to make it the hand. First, I'm going to get some tin foil and roll it into a ball to try and determine the size that the hand's going to be. You don't want to squish the foil together too much at first because you're going to mold it into shape. As you can see here, I'm just determining the shape of the hand and the palm. So first step, determine the size, and the initial part we're making is going to be the palm. Now we're moving on to the fingers, and super simple, just twisting the pieces up and trying to get an idea of length so that they're not too lanky compared to the size of the hand. So here I'm just making 5 twists, and you'll see that I'm not twisting all the way down. I'm keeping some of it flat so we can just use that to wrap around the hand. Here you can see I'm just positioning them all in place. So with the base that we made earlier, I'm just adding the fingers on with some masking tape now, and of course we can adjust them later. I just want to see here the proportions of the fingers to the hand and where each finger is going to sit. Remember, we're just using tin foil. If we need to start again, then we can. This part was probably the most time consuming because I was wanting to make sure my fingers were a good size and in the right place, and as you can see, I am just sticking them down with masking tape. It does get really exciting when you look at it and it's starting to come together. All right, now we've got our last finger in place. If you don't have an image to compare it to, you can always look at your hand for an idea. So we have our hand-ish thing. And thing's hand comes up like this. So we need to do that. Remember, if you don't squish it up too tightly, you can mold it, and then we can put it into place. A bit more. Feel like you use the whole tinfoil roll. This is starting to look good. Ooh. I always get excited when I see things coming together. So what? It's exciting, you can't blame me. Here I'm just adding on to the wrist because it was looking a little thin and flimsy, so now we're just building it up and making it a bit more bulky. I'm just going to mold my tin foil, so we're going to start off with, this can be the thumb, and just tape it into place where I want it to go. And pull it around. Because I want them to kind of sit on the table. I'm going to use the masking tape to secure it into place. Okay, so you heard me. What I'm going to do now is move the tin foil and mold everything into place, and then I'm going to secure it in that place with the masking tape. I'm wanting the thing to stand on its fingers and thumb, so not actually on the palm, so I have to make sure that the weight is distributed correctly. Being the perfectionist that I am, it did take me a while to get the fingers in the right place that I wanted them in. You don't want too much weight in the back, so we may have to cut some out. But as we build it up, we may actually get more weight in the front. Make my fingers a bit meatier. So I'm happy with the positioning of my fingers, but as I've just said, I just want to make them a bit more meatier because they are a bit bony and lanky. So to do so, I'm just going to grab some tin foil and I'm just going to wrap it around the finger just to build it up. I'm going to do my best not to move the finger or change the shape of the finger, but I can utilize this time and mold the knuckles and make everything a bit more smoother and cleaner. And as you can see here, because there's more weight on the fingers now, the thing is actually standing up on its fingers and not falling back onto the wrist or the palm. And as I'm going along, I am making sure to secure everything in place with the masking tape because I don't want it to shift or move or fall off. Watching this back thing reminds me of a spider, so just looking at this hand, all I can think about is a spider. Now I'm happy with how things are looking. I am making some final adjustments. Love this big wind around the wrist just to make sure everything does stay in place. And with some final adjustments here, I'm also checking the length of the fingers to make sure everything is balancing. So just to adjust, I'm cutting, or if needing, I'm going to add some more tinfoil on and securing it all down with the masking tape just to avoid any shifting or anything falling off further. This is where we're at currently, and the back is still quite heavy, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to chop some of the and a part here out. So this is something I'd suggest the parents do. So you obviously don't want to hurt yourself. In case you didn't catch that, the inner side of my palm is where I'm cutting into, because I wanted to make sure that the weight was going to sit more forward than back. So just the back part of the palm leading into the wrist is where I did cut into and remove some foil from. And here I am just adding some more foil to the front and on the top to help again with the weight distribution. Also, don't come at me for using my teeth to cut the tape when the scissors are right there. It's a force of habit. Now's the time when things really start to come into place. So I am going over the full amount of foil in the masking tape. I do not want to see one speck of foil at all, so I am covering it all up with masking tape. This is also a great time to finish off molding it into place. So using the table, I squashed the back of the wrist so it was more flat and upright. Can we please just appreciate how cool this is turning out? I didn't doubt myself, but let's be honest, this is actually pretty cool. We've made this out of tinfoil and masking tape. It is pretty cool. As we're finishing up with covering all of our tinfoil, we're also going to flatten that top part of the wrist as well. So I'm using the table to help apply pressure and just to flatten that out, as well as cover it up with the masking tape. And how cool does our thing look? If you're really worried about the weight distribution part, I guess you can always get like little pebble stones and use them as the base of your fingertips. That is so cool. I'm so stoked. I mean, if you're wanting to do like a mummy style hand, you could probably just leave it as is and like dust in some shadows to make it look old and gross. What I've actually got from Dollar Tree is I picked up some peach color Crayola washable paint. So I plan to paper-mâché 1 or 2 layers of that just to make it hard and sturdy. Then I can paint over it, because I don't think the paint's going to stick to the tape. So I'm going to paint over it, and then I'm going to add in the black stitch lines and stuff like that. So I don't even have paintbrushes. That's how lack of equipment I have. What I've got here is just some warm water, and I'm just going to grab some glue and just pop it in there. I would use flour to make like a proper paper-mâché, but I got glue. Of course, I've laid down some newspaper so I don't get a mess, and I'm just going to use some packing paper, which I assume that's what I think it is. Perfect. You can use newspaper, but because I'm going to paint over it without a base coat and just a light color, I don't want to use newspaper. So long pieces, but thin pieces, and I'll probably rip that into threes. As we're doing this as well, you just want to be careful that you're not putting too much weight in that back section, because we've just evened it out. We don't want to make it worse. The key here is to make sure that your piece of paper is fully coated in the glue, and then you've pressed it down so it's fully touching the whole hand. You're going to avoid getting those air bubbles, so make sure that you press it down nicely so it's a nice and smooth setting. You want to avoid air bubbles, wrinkles, creases as best as possible. In your setup, you could be smart and actually pre-rip the pieces of paper to avoid it sticking to your hands because you've got gluey hands. But then there's me that just does everything on the spot and as I go. So it is possible to do it my way, but you could also do it your way as well. As you're dipping your paper, you want to make sure that you are getting off the excess glue, because you don't want to saturate your hand as well, because that means it's going to take longer to dry, and you don't really want it to seep through too much into the masking tape. You really want a quick dry so that you can continue working with it. I really love paper-mâchéing things. I have some great memories from when I was a child. At my grandparents' house, I would just randomly make paper-mâché things, or just things from school. I love arts and crafts, so just being able to get involved and do kind of anything. But paper-mâché, the things you can create, honestly, if you want to challenge me to create something with paper-mâché, do it. Let me know. Let me give it a go. Honestly, I dare you. There was honestly so much passion in that statement, but I'm being so serious right now. Okay, back to our thing. You want to make sure all the masking tape is completely covered in paper-mâché, because we're going to paint it. We don't want to have any areas it's not actually going to pick up the paint or take it in. So make sure you paper-mâché it. If you need to do 2 coats, do 2 coats, but I was quite happy with just the one coat on this one because the color was nice, every piece of the masking tape was covered, there was no tinfoil showing. I was happy and ready to go straight after this had dried. My video cut out before, but all I did was I continued just to paper-mâché the paper onto my hand. And a really good tip for you is when you paper-mâché, don't just make sure that your piece of paper doesn't have a straight edge. Make sure that it is a raw edge because then it kind of blends in together. Like if you have a look here, there aren't any like sharp, well here's one because it wasn't the best rip. See, that's really noticeable, but the rest aren't really. I did kind of mold it into place and make kind of vein looking things. That's cool. What we're going to do now, I'm going to paint it. Just at Dollar Tree. Don't have a paintbrush, like I said, I don't have anything. And so toilet paper has a sponge type thing. So the colour as a base colour is awesome. I'm just going to completely coat my hand in this peach color. I want none of the paper-mâché paper showing. I want it fully, completely in peach, and that includes the underside of the palm, which you're not going to see as well. All of it, do it all, I don't care. Make sure you paint all of it. You might regret it later when you don't actually realize that you can actually see some of the bottom part of the hand. I finished painting my hand, my thing. I finished painting it. Luckily we're in LA and so the sun is super hot right now. So it shouldn't take too long to dry. So go take it out and then we will bring it back in to continue decorating it. So I've got a picture of thing here, and so I am just going to use it as a guide for the detailing. I'm just going to use some colored pencils. So let's see how we go. So just using color pencils, I'm going to add the color. So that's going to be brown, black, blue, and red. I'm going to add the shading. I'm going to go around the veins and the knuckles and all the areas that need the extra details. Don't forget to draw the knuckle lines in there and the fingernails. I used water and a sponge on the color pencil, and that actually blended the color out. It did surprise me, but don't use too much water. My phone decided to stop playing ball and then cut out halfway through this, so I didn't actually get much coloring recorded. I even found some old brown eyeshadow, which I used with a soft makeup brush and applied that where it needed it the most. Now onto drawing the lines. So I just used an eyeliner, the one with a pen in it, not the brush. It couldn't have turned out any better than it has. And guys, look at him. He looks insane. He looks so good. And to think, we made this at home with tinfoil, with masking tape, with paper-mâché. Like, are you for real right now? I'm telling you, you can do things cheap and cheerful. You can make things come to life. Your ideas are valid, so let's get going. Let me know what you want to see created, and let's give it a go together. PSA, I know he's got no nails. I didn't like them in the end, so I didn't go with them. But that doesn't mean that you don't have to. Do what you want. Add some sparkle to him if you want even. I don't care. He's yours. Do with it as you please. The most important thing is that you have fun and get crafty.